Yo, Kipis Guy here. Hey, we are in a home theater that we just shot literally a video ago. He has a 9.5.6 Dolby Atmos system. If you haven't seen his video, we literally just recorded it. It's up now. Check it out. We walked through his upstairs living room. We had a nice Sonos setup, really nice soundbar, really nice family room. We also went down to his man cave, his gaming section, where he has 2 TVs put together for probably a total of what, maybe 100-inch screen of real estate to play video games, a massage chair, a little desk setup for music and gaming, whatever. It's great. And then we're in here now with his 9.5.6 Dolby Atmos sound system. What we're doing today in this video, he called me over, he found me on Instagram and said, hey, my system, here's what I have. I want to see if I'm getting the bass I'm supposed to or if there's more to give. And so I'm here today. We're going to get into his system, the Anthem AVM70. He has miniDSP, tons of processing going on. We're going to see if we can squeeze every last bit of money he put into his system and make sure that it's sounding good. And about 6-7 months from now, he's actually going to break this place down and probably build a new home, he says. Yep. Build a new home theater from scratch, maybe a little bit bigger. He's going to redo everything, new speakers. It's going to be great. And we'll follow his journey during that. He was on Subscriber Showcase, so I have seen his theater in small bits when he was building it. I'm here today to see it in its finished form. So you tell me that the subs you have right now are SVS PB2000 Pros.
Yeah.
You have 5 of them.
I have 5.
Their locations are basically front and left, center, front right, then rear right and rear left is where they are right now. Yeah. Did you, when you built this home theater, did you already have 5 subs already, or did you start with 1 or 2 and then buy 3 and 4 and then 5, or did you already have them all kind of in place?
I pretty much bought them all.
So y'all just kind of got everything done, which is awesome, which is good. So PB2000 Pros. He has a miniDSP he's using to control them. And if you guys don't know what a miniDSP is, it's an excellent tool, and I think it's almost necessary to have when you have more than one subwoofer, so that you can dial these in. If you have too many subs and they're all doing whatever they want to, it's like having 1 or 2, because a lot of them are going to cancel each other out or whatever. So we're going to get into his miniDSP and see what's going on now. We're going to probably get into Room EQ Wizard so we can see some graphs. I want to measure the room and see what it's doing, just how it stands. And then we're going to turn some subs off, turn some subs on, and see how it's performing. We can't really move things around. They're kind of where they're going to be. So we're going to see if we can't make them sound as good as possible where they are, play with some phase, some time alignment, whatever. He's done a lot of this on his own. We're going to make sure that he did it right. So I'm going to show you guys the rack really quickly. We're going to go back into the rack room from last video and show you guys what he's using and what we're going to kind of do with all that equipment. So let's head back on in there real quick.
All right, right here we got the miniDSP. This is controlled the 5 subwoofers. We were talking about the SVS 2000 Pros. This is the Anthem AVM70. That's the processing for the Dolby Atmos and the surround sound speakers. This Bass X controls the ceiling speakers for the Dolby Atmos. And both of the audio control, the Avalon G4 and the Savant 80 G4, they both control the surround sound. I'm sorry, this is Savoy surround sound speakers.
Excellent. You said you had a miniDSP somewhere.
I do. I got a miniDSP.
There's a smaller one. You guys are probably used to the smaller handheld one. This is his miniDSP right here. You guys may have not seen this one before, but this is really cool. I actually haven't used this one yet, but you told me it has the same interface as a traditional miniDSP. Kind of does the same thing. So that's what we're going to dig into. We're going to get in there and see what's going on. He has 5 subs, but only 4 of them are using this miniDSP, right? Is that how you have them set it?
I have all 5.
All 5 are in here?
Yes.
Perfect. The goal that he wanted to try to do today, guys, so that center subwoofer that's pretty much right next to the center channel speaker, he wants to use that sub and kind of pair it with the center channel to get more for the vocals, kind of add some more chest to it, a little more, a little more oomph with that particular sub. So depending on how we set it up, we may be able to do that, or we may end up losing a sub. We may have 4 LFE subs and then 1 like high level sub. We'll have to see how we're going to do that. But the miniDSP is going to be our best friend. We're going to get into that. We're going to grab our microphone to the Anthem AVM70, which I also have at home, and we are going to plug it up into the home theater. We're going to measure the room and just see what the graphs look like. We're focusing on subs today. He's happy with his main speakers. We're going to focus on subs, see if we can get a nice smooth response, add a little bit more low end to it. I think that's the goal. So let's head back into the theater. We'll grab the mic. Let's get that set up. All right, guys. So we've been through some chaos off camera. We really have. We're getting into the nitty gritty now. So we have 2 different laptops set up. This microphone is in his primary seating position. This is where he spends all of his watching time. So what we're doing is calibrating the subs to get them working the way we want to. So this is where he sits, so we're paying most attention to this. We're just getting our subs level matched. So actually we're level matching, not gain matching. Gain matching is when each sub is playing the same volume level right at the sub's cone. Level matching is when the sub is playing the same volume level at the seating position, which is what we're going for. So we have the microphone in his seating position, and we're making sure that his subs read 78 dB. We calibrate his speakers, and they're 75. We want a little bit more bass, right? So we're gonna do a little bit hot at 78 dB. So he has his subwoofer app in his hand, and what he's doing is turning up the subs volume until the Room EQ Wizard reads 78 dB, and then we're labeling it on our other laptop over there that has the miniDSP software pulled up. So his job right now, turn your sub up until you read 78 dB on the SPL meter. There you go, starting to hear it. All right, that's good. Go up one more click. Yeah. There we are. So that was sub number 4. Off camera, we did the front left, the front right. There is a rear right and a rear left. They're all reading in the 78 dB ballpark. And then over here in the miniDSP, which is what's controlling our subs, we are labeling them so we know what we're doing. That's step 1. So now that we're done, we're going to go ahead and start actually calibrating our subs, getting them time aligned, getting them performing all together. He's actually going to run out and grab some pizza for everybody. So he's going to come back and see what we've done, and either he's going to kick me out or he's going to shake my hand and say thank you. So we're going to find out here in just a little bit. All right, guys, so he is running out to grab his pizza. I told him I would get a lot of this done before he came back. So time starts now. We have all the subs now level matched to 78 dB in his seat. That's what he wants to do. We need a time align now, meaning we get all the subs working together, no cancellation going on. So 4 subs, we definitely need to do this. We're gonna work we're gonna work clockwise. So front left, front right, rear right, and then the rear left sub. That's what we're gonna do. And how we time align our subs is inside the miniDSP. We're going to come to where you see delay, and we want to add delay to the sub starting with the one closest to us. So in his case, the front right is the one that's closest to us. So we are going to unmute the front right, and we're gonna measure it, see what's going on. Then we're gonna do the front left, measure it, see what's going on, and then add delay to the front right to see what's going on in the graph. This makes much more sense here in a second. So I measured just the front left sub itself, and you can see kind of the line we get in this listening position wasn't too terrible, but that is a bad dip around a really important frequency, 38. But when you combine it with the front right speaker, you get a much smoother line. That's the goal of having 2 subs, is to smoothen your line out. Now, what I've done, now that I know my baseline, this is just my front left, my front right sub. What I did was add delay to the front right one because it's the closest one to me. And I get a line that looks like this, the yellow line. So it may not be too dissimilar, but take a look towards the lower half. I now have some increased output. So just adding a little bit delay, I added from 63.5 dBs to 69.9 dBs. So I've gone up about 6 dBs of volume just by adding delay to the front right sub. So now my line looks like this with these 2 subs. This is as good as I've got it with the milliseconds I was adding to it, the delay. So now I'm going to measure my my rear right sub with the front 2 and see what that line looks like, and then I'm going to add delay to the front or the rear right speaker, and then I'll do the rear left speaker, and then all of the speakers will be time aligned with each other so that we get the most output out of our line. From that point, we can smooth it out. All right, so let me show you the final results for this. So let me take this off. When we did just the front left and right subs, this is the line that we were getting. Once I got the front right sub time aligned with the front and left sub, we went from that blue line to this yellow line. So we kind of stayed the same towards the lower frequencies, but we gained quite a bit. We gained 6 dBs in total. We got a lot of our 40 hertz up to 80 hertz, which is what we're measuring. We got that back even in line with our lower frequency. So we got just a little bit smoother of a response. We lost no dB. We gained a lot. Then I time aligned the front right and left speaker to the rear right speaker, which is this green line here. And look how smooth we got. Those dips right here, they alleviated. We got so much more output with that sub. So we time aligned the rear right sub with the front 2 subs and got this green line here coming from the yellow. So now we're looking like this with 3 subs. When I turned on the rear left sub, that last 4th sub, we had less bass overall. Once I time aligned it, we gained a little bit. We gained over a dB back, but we gained even more output in that lower bass region, which is what he felt like he was missing. We gained that back, and we kind of kept everything where it was. Our 40 hertz increased on downwards, down to 15 hertz. Everything increased. So time aligning your subs is more than important. If you're going to have more than one, you need this. If you're not going to have a miniDSP or something to calibrate your subs, you're wasting your time getting multiple subs because they're not going to work together just out of the box, even if they're the same subs. All of his subs are the same. Now, I calibrated 4 subs. He actually has 5. Behind this screen here is his 5th sub. I don't want to break anything. Behind there is his 5th sub. It sits just underneath the center channel. He wants to make that sub dedicated to the center channel. So he's making that like a vocals kind of subwoofer. So we didn't tie that in with the other 4 because it's going to do a whole different job. So right now we're just calibrating these 4 speakers. So now that we have time aligned this, I want to see if we can't make that line a little bit more smoother, try to get rid of any dips we have. Really, the line is not bad how it sits. I'm going to take off the green one because the purple one is our current line. It's actually a really smooth line. I'm not mad at it at all. We do want to put a house curve on here, so I'm going to do that next, and I'm going to have a roll off around 80 hertz because the speakers are going to take care of that. I'm going to roll this off and put a lot of emphasis towards the lower half of the graph because he wants more of that bass, more of that low infrasonics out of his PB2000 Pros. So I'm going to get that graph going with some EQ, some parametric EQ, and we'll talk about that next. All right, time alignment is done. I want to check phase. When you have 4 subs, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear, sometimes you want to check your phase and make sure that you're not canceling anything out. You can do that right here for the miniDSP. You can invert your phase here, or if you have some sort of app, like Anthem room correction, for example, has their own app where you can change phase for each sub. You can also do that in the SVS app that he has that I actually have access to on my phone. He gave me the login. You can change phase. So we want to make sure that we're not canceling each other out. We're going to do it on the miniDSP first. So what we're going to do is just click invert on one sub and then measure it and see how it affects the graph. So if the graph drastically lowers in overall volume, then we don't need to adjust our phase. We don't need to invert it. If we invert it and the graph goes up, positive summation is what we call it. If we get more output with the sub inverted, then we were out of phase to begin with, and now we are in phase. The thing about phase here, as far as inverting them, I don't really like inverts because it's either 0 or 180, normal or reverse, positive or negative. I rather have a dial to control it. So I may use his SVS app to control each sub and measure it that way. But I'm going to start off with just invert. So if I click it, it'll turn red, or green in this case, and it'll be inverted. And I'm going to measure that and see if we get a good graph or a bad one. All right, so I tested all my phases, and turns out that all of them being on normal phase, so not inverted, is the best way. So the graph didn't change. This is the best setup. Like I said, I want to do a house curve here. If you go to EQ inside the Room EQ Wizard, you can set a house curve where you can change these parameters here and give yourself a house curve. We want to do this for him because he wants a little bit emphasis on the low end. So we're going to have a house curve that looks like this, and then slowly tapers off towards that 80, 90 hertz mark when the main speakers kick in. So that's going to give him a really nice clean sound and should do well for music if he ever wants to listen to music in here too. So I'm going to create a house curve here. If you guys want to know more about the miniDSP and Room EQ Wizard, I actually have a 4-part series and it's in a playlist for you guys. So if you want to see in depth how to use this, I have done it in my own home theater. We're just running through it for him so that I can get it all set up. So I'm going to do a house curve, set it all up, and then I'm going to run one more measurement to show you guys what everything looks like. After that point, we'll run Anthem calibration to tidy everything else together, and then we'll be done. All right, so he's back with some goodies. So what do you say? Hold on, what did you say this pizza was called?
This is Marco's Pizza.
Marco's Pizzas. You guys know the big chains, Papa John's, Pizza Hut, Domino's. That's all we have. We're down where I live. I'm about 40 minutes where he's at. We don't have this down there. It slaps. It's it's good. It looked good. It looks good more than, you know, you can look at a greasy pizza from whatever. This actually looked good and it tastes good. So if you have this down where you live, definitely hit them up. So here's what we did so far. Actually, we're done now. I haven't showed him the graph. I told him that my graph beat his graph, but I haven't showed him what I did. So my goal for the home theater, and I do this for all the home theaters that I've calibrated, including my own. My goal is to get as flat as a response as possible, because for me, I like my system to be good for home theater and be good for music, both of them. Yep. I like to listen to both, so I wanted them to sound good for both. I think I achieved that. So I'm gonna walk you over to the other laptop with the graphs on here and show you your graph versus mine. So let me click off of these graphs. So the first thing that I did while you were gone is I measured the front right sub. Actually, I'm sorry, I measured the front left sub. Let me move this. So the goal was just to see what this front left sub was doing by itself. Okay. Then I measured the front left and the front right. So having two subs, you can see what it does for you. You had a pretty crazy dip around that 38-40 hertz range. Wow. That's a pretty important range right there. So you lost a lot of that with one sub. Having two subs brought that back and just added overall dB. So then I added the third sub in here, and then I time aligned it. So I'm gonna get rid of this green line. So you may think that not a lot happened in this line, but it did. So your lower notes stayed relatively the same, but that dip down here around 40 started to grow. So now we got more output towards the 40 to 80 hertz range, making it more in line with our lower frequencies here. After doing that, I measured the front speakers, front subs with the rear right sub and started to time align that one. So now I added that sub to the equation and time aligned it. We've pretty much stayed the same sub 20 hertz. We gained a whole bunch of 20 to 30. Yeah. We gained a little bit here at 38-40, but we started to smooth that line out. So now if I click off to just the green line, now we're starting to look a little more linear, a little more smooth. We weren't done. So I then added the rear left sub to the equation and time aligned that. So we just gained all the way through. Everything just went up. So now all of our subs are time aligned, and we went from, I didn't measure all four, I deleted the measurement there, but we went from having a line that's just crazy to having a pretty smooth line, and we gained dB all the way through.
So can you put the original without meaning anything with the one that you just did?
So I deleted it just to keep myself organized, but what I did, which I'm going to show you, is what you had before I came here today. I'm going to show you that. That's going to be my last one. So this is all the subs time aligned. I went through and checked your phases. So since you have 4 subs with 2 of them in the back, sometimes you got to play with phase. I'm actually going to let the Anthem ring correction do that part for me. But your phases were actually set correctly, which was 0. They didn't need to be adjusted at all, at least from what I can do in the miniDSP. So I left that alone. And then my next steps here was adding some EQ. So you've done this before where you've gone to EQ in the Room EQ Wizard and added your house curve, parametric EQ, whatever, or direct live, whatever you want to do. You've done that in your previous setup. I did my own manual EQ. I found it in my home theater to be better than an auto EQ. So I did my own EQ with yours, and each of these colors here shows a change. So I added some EQ here. So okay, I like that. We gained a lot of bass in the sub for basically between 20 to 36 hertz. We gained everywhere, and we gained all this stuff. But I wanted to fix this peak or this dip right here. So I added a different kind of delay, and we got even closer. So now we're getting smoother. We're getting smoother. I went and added a little bit more. So we lost some dB, but my purpose for doing this was because I wanted it to start to roll off towards the end, because this is where your main speakers are going to kick in. And that 5th sub that you have, you're going to have that be tied in with your center channel, so that's going to play some higher frequencies too. So I wanted this to start to roll off as you got closer to 80 hertz, which is probably where your cutoff, your crossover is going to be anyway. I didn't stop there. So I did one more EQ, but I'm going to show you your graph first. So this was your line when I came today. This was your graph with all your subs together with your last measurements. So it's truly not too bad. You just have this dip here, and we roll off very quickly, and we start to go up again. We would have if I measured past 80 hertz, but we're everywhere. Between your highest peak, this 90 dBs, and your lowest peak is almost under 80 dBs. So there's 10 dBs difference between around 20 hertz and around your 40 hertz mark. We fixed that. This is the graph that I have ended with now. So we are a lot smoother. And even though a lot of your orange line is higher than mine, I actually have 6 dBs more of pressure than you do.
Wow.
So we gained 6 dBs overall, but what we truly got, not just volume level, but we got just a more smoother line. So none of my graph is within 5 dBs of each other. So my lowest point here is 85, my highest point here is 90. So all my frequencies are within 4 or 5 dBs of each other. And then I still kept my roll off here because this is where your main speakers will come into play. We want the subwoofer to start to taper off and let those main speakers, because you have 9 of them, we want those to start playing 80 hertz and above and let the sub do its job. So this should sound way better than what you last had, and you should have more of an even response between, it looks like your subs play 20 hertz up to 80, that's where we're going to cross it over. The problem that I heard in yours was that we had this peak here around 20, 22, 23, and it was actually adding some distortion in your system. Yeah, it didn't sound too pretty. We took that away, and then we smoothed the line out, got rid of this dip. So got rid of that dip, got rid of that peak, so now we have a much smoother line. So the only thing to do now is I'm going to switch your mic from the miniDSP mic to the Anthem mic, and I'm going to run calibration all over again. Anthem has 2 cool tools. They have automatic phase adjustment, so I'm going to let it do that because it's way smarter than me. And then I'm also going to run your subwoofer calibration because it'll time align those 4 subs to your main speaker. So it's going to take what I've made and then blend it with your speakers. We'll do another measurement and see what it did to my line. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll let you hear it.
Alrighty.
All right, guys, so he's been back here half asleep with Jasmine.
We just had pizza.
They just had pizza. We had pizza. But this process is really long. I mean, if you really want it to sound good, you're going to take a lot of time to do it. I got here at 11, right? It's just about 6. And that's just kind of what it takes. It is what it is. But we finished it up. I just did room calibration on the Anthem Arc Genesis software because that really does a good job at doing my phase for me and getting even more by time alignment with the main speakers. So let's refresh. This is the graph that I ended with before Anthem. If I click on the blue line, this is now what Anthem did for me. And if you want to peek over here, I don't know if you can see it or not. But this green line was me before room correction. Room correction went behind me and smoothed it out even more. So they had the same issue I had. It was I couldn't get that little dip out around 20 hertz, but it is what it is there. It's small, but it did help me fix everything else after that. So you have one of the smoothest sounding bass responses that you're gonna get out of a room. Mind you, his room is pretty open space. I mean, he has everything treated in here, but that bass just goes and just leaves the house basically. So he's managed to get 4 PB 2000 Pros and making them sound like this in this pretty good sized room. That 5th sub there is not hooked up. It's going to be dedicated to the center channel, more so for the upper mid bass. He wants to use it for that, so it's not going to be doing what the other 4 are. But you have a really good response here, man. So what we're going to do off camera, we'll play some movies. We did some demos earlier. We're going to do a couple demos. I know we're getting late, but I'm going to let him hear it and see if he has a difference. But I'm going to do it off camera. So I want to say thank you for taking the time to let me take over everything. Absolutely. And I'm going to spend some time with him listening to it real quick before we get out of here. But guys, remember down below in the comments or the description, there will be a link to a playlist called miniDSP 2x4 so that you guys can get your own DSP and do this all on your own at your house. And of course, if it gets too complicated, you know I got you. So again, thank you so much for letting me take over for a while. Thank you, Jasmine, for sticking in there with me all day. We'll get out of here soon. Make sure you guys leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about his home theater. Go back and check his previous video where we went through the whole tour. And we'll see you in the next video. K-Pace Guy out. Peace.